start with the Shanti Mantra. This is on page 154 of Universal Prayers. The last one on the page, bottom of the page 154. The English is on 155. This particular mantra, shloka, is in praise of the glory of the Guru, spiritual teacher, who guides us and leads us to our destination from the Vishwasara Tantra. So let us chant. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasya Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I bow down to the Guru, who is the embodiment of the bliss of Brahman, the giver of the greatest beatitude, the absolute, the personification of the highest knowledge, who is beyond the pairs of opposites like pleasure and pain, and untouched by evil, like the sky, whom thou art that, and similar scriptural passages have in view, the one without a second, the eternal, the pure, the immovable, the witness of all mental modifications, abiding ever beyond thoughts and attributes. May the Guru bestow his grace upon us all. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Ajatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. No ill will, no hatred. Adi Bhautika Shanti. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti. We are at the very end of chapter 4. And about to begin chapter 5 today. So last time we were doing verse number 40. 40, right? Or 41, 40, I think. In this verse number 40, chapter 4, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is explaining that if a person does not have Shraddha in the words of the scriptures, Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita, these are the two basic scriptures for Vedanta study, and does not have faith in the words of the teacher, element teacher, who has experienced the truth of these scriptures, then such a person cannot make any spiritual progress, because there is no basis for that person's spiritual practice. If there is no faith that what the teacher says I should do, then he has no motivation to do that one. If I don't trust the teacher's instructions, then I don't have much motivation to do. So that faith is necessary, but that faith should be a conviction developed by understanding and study and observation. Not merely because somebody says or something is printed somewhere. One has to study and examine the validity, veracity of the teachings for oneself, and see the examples of people who have followed it and reached the goal. Read about them, study about them. Then our faith, our conviction develops, and we can confidently proceed with this spiritual practice. If a person does not have this kind of conviction, which is called Shraddha, then there is no possibility of success in spiritual life. So that was described in sloka number 40. We don't have to worry too much about it because we already have chosen a path and well are practicing it, and we are not going to go back and doubt the basic things that we are already convinced about. So the verse number 40, Agnyascha Shraddadhanascha Samshayatma Vinashyati Nayam Lokosti Naparo Nasukham Samshayatmanaha. Agnya means, Jnana means knowledge. Agnya means one person does not have knowledge. The prefix A means negative. Agnya means a person who does not have knowledge. Your knowledge means knowledge of the self. A person may have worldly knowledge, well educated, but if he does not have a faith in the teachings of the Upanishad that we are not the embodiment, we are the Atman, at least that faith must be there. The experience will come later. It will take time for us to experience that. But we should start the hypothesis that that is the truth and proceed to experience it. If a person does not have that, such a person is an Agnya. Agnyascha Ashraddadhanascha. One has no faith. Ashraddadhana is defined by Shankara in this way in the commentary. Ashraddadhanascha Guruvakya Shastreshu Avishwasavan. Vishwasa means faith. Guru Shastra Vakyeshu. In the teachings of the teacher, great teachers like Bhagavan Ramanavashi, Sri Ramakrishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all those greatest Shankaracharya, teachers of that class, of that caliber, in their teachings, we have to have faith because they are teaching from their experience. They're not all philosophers who read many books and giving lectures. They are every word they speak is based on their own direct personal experience, repeated experience. That's why we should put faith in their teachings. They're not saying something to impress somebody or gain something. There's nothing that they want to gain by teaching other people. They are just doing it for lokopakara, for helping people who are ready to be helped, ready to receive help. Agnyascha Ashraddadhanascha Samshayatma. Samshaya means doubt. Vinashyati. Vinashyati means, Vinashyati means he says here, perishes. Perishes means this is not reached the spiritual goal of spiritual realization. Just leads the worldly life and birth again, rebirth, and he will be in that cycle, continuing that cycle. For such a person, Ayam lokaha nasti. Ayam loka means this world. That person cannot succeed in this world also. In any profession or in any aspect of life, success cannot come unless you have conviction in what you are doing, that you are doing the right thing. And then you can put everything into that one if you have the conviction. Otherwise, the effort will not be wholehearted. Ayam loka nasti. There is no success in this life, in this world. Naparaha. There is no success in any other world also. Nasukam. There is no happiness in this world or in next world or anywhere else for such a person, samshayatmanaha, who has doubt. So that we don't have to dwell much more on that one. Now we go to the concluding 2 verses where Sri Krishna gives instruction on how a person can become totally, permanently free from the bondage of work, karma phala. So that it has already come before, but he is stating it again by way of conclusion in sloka number 41. Yoga sanyasta karmanam jnana sanchinna samshayam atmavantam na karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya. Yoga Sanyasta Karmanam Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam Atmavantam Na Karmani Nibadnanti Dhananjaya. The translation, O Arjuna, works bind not him who is vigilant, who through yoga has renounced works and who has slain doubts with knowledge. Two things have to be done. One is yoga sanyasta karmanam. Yoga here means performing all work as yajna. That we have seen before in third chapter, earlier fourth chapter. Then there is no binding, no attachment. And the karma phala does not bind. And such a person does not do any bad karma at all, because to be able to come to that stage, one must have practiced basic moral purity. Basic moral purity, if one does not have, that person cannot come up to this point also. That means not telling lies, not cheating, not doing other immoral acts. That those things have to be given up. I'm beginning of spiritual life, and we are not going to go back to that level again. We assume that we have crossed that point. Yoga Sanyasta Karmana. A person who practices all work as yoga, does all work as yoga. Sanyasta Karmana means gives up attachment to karma. Karma does not physically need not be given up or cannot be given up. Karma will continue to be done, or some karma will continue to be done. That we saw before in the third chapter. Without karma, even the body maintenance cannot be, is not possible. Sharira yatra pitate na prasiddheda karmana. No person can live without performing karma even for a short period of time. Nahi kalyan. No, that's a different course. A person has to necessarily perform karma even for body maintenance. So that we have seen before. So karma need not be physically given up, but attachment to karma phala has to be given up. The person who has done that one by practicing yoga, yoga sanyasta karmanam. Second thing is who has become free from doubts. Jnana sanchinna samshayam. Chinna means to cut. Chinna samshaya means a person who has cut doubt, has become free from doubts. How? Jnana, by knowledge of the self. True knowledge is knowledge of the self. If a person has very strong body consciousness, I am the body and nothing more, then that is not enough for spiritual practice. Earlier on another occasion we saw there are three kinds of people in this world. Shankaracharya describes three kinds of people in this world, depending upon their understanding of who they are. First category of people are those who believe that they are only the body. Deho hamityeva jadasya buddhi. This is Viveka Chudamani. Aham deha, I am the body, nothing more. It is jadasya buddhi. Jada means a person who cannot think deeply. Jada means inert. Many people are like that. Only body, what else is there? When the body dies, everything ends and there is nothing more. That is the understanding of many people. They are not ready for spiritual practice yet. They have to have a little bit more, at least inkling that there is something else beyond the body. The second category of people are Dehe jive vidushastvakam dhi. Deha jiva. Both are there. I'm a body, I'm the body, but I also have a soul, jiva. Or I am a jiva, I have a body. So that second part also is there for some people. The majority people fall in the category. You are a body with a jiva. We are jiva with this body. We may have other bodies. That some understanding is there. Second category of people. Then the third category of people are Viveka Vijnanavato Mahatmano Brahmahamityeva mati sadatmani. For a person who has Viveka Vijnana, Viveka means discrimination. That's only a Brahman is real, the world is unreal. That conviction must be there. Vijnana means that experience also must be there. Not merely understanding, but experience. Viveka Vijnana, if person has both of those things, that person's mind is always established in God consciousness, Brahman consciousness. Without interruption, that person is aware of his divine nature. I am that. Such people are rare. So they are Jnana Sanchinna Samshayam, first line of verse 41. Such people who have cut asunder their samshaya, their doubt, by self-knowledge. Very high requirement. Atmavantam, second line, first word, Atmavantam means one who is constantly aware of his divine nature. Shankara says, Apramattaha. Pramada means forgetting our divine nature, lapsing into any ignorance of the body mind. Such a person is a pramatta, who is forgotten his nature. Apramatta means one is not forgotten that. He is always, he or she aware of his divine nature. Such a person is called Atmavan. The word Atmavan came in the second chapter. It's so long ago, I may not remember. Second chapter, Shloka 45. There the word Atmavan came. It's a very important word. The Shloka says, 245. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nityasatvastho Niryavakshema Atmavan. Become an Atmavan. That means always remain absorbed in your true self. Never forget that you are the Atman. Never make the mistake that you are the body and the mind. That instruction came earlier in second chapter. Same thing here. Atmavantam. For such a person, karmani nanibadnanti. Actions don't bind. He may do any action. There is no bondage. There is no result. There is no samskara. There is no effect. It will only help other people. Such people work only to help other people. There is nothing for them that they gain, that they have to gain by doing something. There is no such thing that they have to gain that by doing something. They are not doing any action for gaining something for themselves. Whatever action they do is only for paropakara, for helping other people. That is the status of the jnani. So that is verse number 41. All this has come before, but he is concluding this chapter. Then the next verse, last verse 42. Tasmadajnana-sambhutam kritstham jnanasinatmanah chitvainam samshayam yogam atishthotishta bharata. Very nice verse. Tasmad, let me read the translation. Therefore, O Bharata prince, with this fold of knowledge, slay the doubt in the heart born of nescience. Nescience means ignorance. Resort to yoga and stand up. Concluding instruction. Yogam atishta uttishta. Those are the things we have to remember. This is the whole message of Gita. Bhagavad Gita, every step it says, stand up and be active. Stand up and work. Stand up and work. Repeatedly throughout Gita, Sri Krishna gives this instruction. This is not a philosophy of inaction. Your Bhagavad Gita, although it is there, it does not emphasize withdrawal from work. Upanishad may seem to do so. In the Upanishads, there is not that much emphasis on work. Their Upanishad is on detachment, nivritti. Pravritti, nivritti, two lifestyles for human beings available. Bhagavad Gita emphasizes pravritti marga. Remain in the world, where will you go? How can you give up work? How can you give up your attachments and possessions and body, you have to work with them. Use them for the purpose for which they are given to you. Namely, to realize the tentative nature, temporary nature, their undependable nature, and realize that there is something else beyond that, behind that, which is our true nature. So use all these things, not discard them, because they are given there for a purpose. They are there for a purpose in our lives. The body is there for a purpose in our life. It has to be used for the purpose for which it was given to us. That is the message of Gita. That means through action. Action is the key to realization. Otherwise, the Nivritti Marga, the path of withdrawal, is not for all. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna explains to M one day. M asked him, what is the spiritual practice for realizing the formless, attributeless Brahman? What should be done? How to realize formless, attributeless Brahman? I think it was M who asked the question. Sri Ramakrishna replied, in the earlier days, the sages who were interested in realizing the formless, attributeless Brahman, Nirguna Nirakara Brahman, they would live in forest hermitages. They would get up early in the morning and go deep into the forest to meditate all day. At sunset, they will come back to their hermitage, eat some roots and fruits, and get some sleep. This is how they would spend every day. That is not the method that Gita emphasizes. Gita says, here and now, live in the world, live with the people with whom you have to live, work with them, and through work you realize the ultimate goal, realization. Work is the key to realization in the Gita teaching. Every now and then, Sri Krishna refers to the Nivritti Marga, path of withdrawal, but the Gita emphasis is on Pravritti Marga. Live in the world. Where will you go? In this world. There's nothing, no other place. Wherever you go, the world is there. Perform your duties. That is instruction with which concludes fourth chapter, last verse. So let us do fourth chapter, last verse, 42. Tasmad ajnana sambhutam ritstham samshayam. You are reading, see the word samshaya in the second line, second word, second line. Samshaya, the doubt. Arjuna's doubt was, should I fight or should I kill all these people to gain the kingdom? What happens if I do all this? I will incur sin. If they win, they will die. If we win, the kingdom comes with all the blood stained with the blood of the enemy. All those things, first chapter, that Arjuna's doubt was expressed in whole chapter 1. So Hrista means in your heart. Hrit means Hridaya, means heart. Hristam samshayam, the doubt is embedded in the heart. Hristam samshayam. Ajnana sambhutam. From where doubt comes? Because of due to ajnana, absence of knowledge. Doubt is absence of knowledge. Doubt which is in your heart, which has arisen because of ignorance, ajnana sambhutam, chitva, cutting it. How to cut it? Jnana asina. Asi means sword. Jnana means knowledge, self-knowledge here. Jnana asina, by the sword of self-knowledge, cutting asunder the doubt that has entered in your heart. You have to become free from all these doubts. Clarification has been given throughout. More clarification will be given in the rest of the chapters. Then what is to be done? Most important instruction, make a note of this one, in second line. Yogam atishtha uttishtha. Two things. That is the concluding instruction of chapter 4. Yogam atishtha uttishtha. Uttishtha means stand up. Arjuna was sitting in the chariot, dropping his Gandiva bow, and my hands are shaking, I'm perspiring, all those things he was telling in the first chapter. Give that up. Give up that faint-heartedness. Don't yield to this unmanliness. Second chapter, verses 2 and 3. Second chapter, verses 2 and 3, beginning of Krishna's instruction. There, Sri Krishna gave the instruction, he is repeating it here for emphasis. In second chapter, verses 2 and 3, Sri Krishna said two slokas. Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anaryajustam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna. O Arjuna, from where this uncharacteristic unmanliness has come upon you at this critical juncture, vishame samupasthitam. Anaryajustam is unbecoming of Arya, a noble person like you. Give this up. Klaivyam asmagama partha naitatvaipapadyate. Klaivya means unmanliness. Give this unmanliness. Don't yield to this unmanliness. Klaivyam asmagama partha. Etatvainopapadyate. This is totally unbecoming in you, Arjuna. If an ordinary person sees the Kaurava 18 divisions and becomes afraid and doesn't want to fight, that is understandable, but not in you, Arjuna. You are known to be the greatest warrior, Arya. Anaryajustam, akirtakaram Arjuna, klaivyam asmagama partha, na etatvayupapadyate. Tvay means in you, this weakness, na upapadyate, is totally unbecoming, uncharacteristic of you. Kshudram hridaya dorbalyam Yaktva uttishta parantapa. Same words repeated in the last verse of chapter 4. Uttishta means stand up. That is the call of the Bhagavad Gita. Action, action, action. Not retiring, not sitting down in meditation that we do, but action is the key. So the last sentence is Chitvainam samshayam. Cutting us under this doubt. Yoga atishta. Atishta means practice. Practice yoga. Yoga means karma yoga here. Other yogas also included. You can combine bhakti yoga, you can combine any yoga, karma yoga. They can't really be separated anyhow. They will be combined anyhow in practice. Yoga atishta. Practice yoga. Uttishta. Stand up. Bharata. That is how he concludes chapter 4. So, before I go to chapter 5, I want to spend just a few minutes highlighting a few points in the 4th chapter. At the end of every chapter, we have to do a little bit review, just the highlights, main points, not all the slokas. So, in the beginning of the 4th chapter, Sri Krishna begins the 4th chapter with the unbroken lineage of Sanatana Dharma. So, sloka number 1, 2, 3, and those slokas, Sri Krishna says, this knowledge of the self, that we are the Atman, we are not the body mind. That was the Upanishad says, Am Brahmasmi Tattvamasi. This knowledge was given by the Lord Himself. Aham vivasvate. How does this sloka begin? Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam aham. He is the beginning teacher, first teacher. The first teacher who gave this knowledge of the self to the world, the Lord Himself. So that is why we call Sanatana Dharma, Vedanta, we call Vedanta as Apaurusheya. Purusha means a human being. No human being taught this to anybody. The first teacher is the Lord Himself, Narayana, Parabrahman or Vishnu, whichever way you want to think about Supreme Reality, God, He is the first teacher. Imam Yogam, this Sanatana Dharma Yoga, Aham Avyayam Yogam, this imperishable eternal knowledge. This knowledge never goes out of fashion. It never becomes obsolete. Certain types of knowledge become obsolete. They are current now, and after some time they are no longer valid. But not Sanatana Dharma, not Vedanta. Vedanta knowledge of self never goes out of fashion, out of fashion. Ivam avyayam yogam vivasvate proktavan. Vivasvan, Vivasvan is the sun. The first the manifestation of reality we can concrete see in concrete terms. God is sun. Where do you want to see God? You see the sun, you are seeing God. Source of all energy, all life. Without sun, nothing can exist. See, God Himself is there, supporting life on this planet. Where else do you want to see God? In concrete terms. So He was one. That's why in Hindu Dharma, worship of the sun is given important place. Every day we have to do Surya Namaskara. We have to offer Arghya, water offering to sun every morning. All those 3 times Sandhya, all those traditions are there. So I taught this to son. Vivaswan Manave Praha and etc. Vivaswan taught it to Manu. The first human being is Manu. Then he taught Ikshvaku, and Ikshvaku is the originator of the Surya Vamsha, when it's Ramachandra Swami was born. So that unbroken tradition of Vedanta teaching, which is continuing until today with our own teachers. Sri Ramakrishna got Vedanta teaching from Totapuri and other teachers. Sri Ramakrishna taught it to his disciples, they taught it to their disciples taught it to us. And other people are teaching it to their next generation. That continuation is there. Unbroken tradition, lineage of Vedanta study. So that was the first topic. Second thing, the second topic was in verses 7 and 8. Sri Krishna refers to the doctrine of divine incarnation. Some faiths don't accept this, but in Vedanta it's an important part. At least for Bhakta, devotees, and divine incarnation is an important part. So he says, in every age, I descend to the human world, taking human form, to uplift the sagging dharma and to help the people who are striving for spiritual realization and to punish those who are working against dharma. Paritranaya sadhuram vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. That doctrine of divine incarnation comes in 2 verses. Then comes a very important verse, 11th verse, key sloka in chapter 4. This teaches 2 things. One main thing in this 11th verse in chapter 4 is the harmony of religions. That is unique to Sanatana Dharma. Other faiths don't accept this one. They think their path is the only path. It's only Vedanta that accepts all paths as valid paths to the same goal. Goal is same, paths can be many. How can you say that this is the only path to God? God is infinite. So many paths are there. How can you say this is the only path, and if you don't go to this path, you will not reach God? You cannot say that one. That is the main feature of Sanatana Dharma. Harmony of all paths and no hatred, no fighting that my path is superior, your path is. We should not say those things. That is the main teaching of Sri Ramakrishna in the whole of Gospel. So many times he teaches this one. Sri Krishna gives that instruction in 4:11, 11th verse. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmana vartante manushya partha sarvachah. There are 2 aspects in this 11th verse. One is, in whatever form people worship me, in that form I will appear to them. The Lord is saying, Yena prakarena, Yena prakarena means by whatever, in whatever form, method, people worship me, in that form I will appear to them. Bhagavan promises, if somebody worships me as Rama, I will appear to them as Rama. If somebody worships me as Krishna or Shiva, I will appear to them as Krishna or Shiva. Or any other aspect, even outside Hinduism. People can worship God in as Buddha, as Christ, or in any other way they want to worship, but God will appear in that form to them. Same divinity, one divinity appearing as many. You can't limit him to one form. He can have infinite forms. Anantarupa, Anantarupini. So that is the teaching here. So there is no need to fight that my path is superior. And people go to extreme, violent lengths to convert other people to the religion, which is not right, which is against Vedanta does not accept that one. So that is the harmony of religion. Yayata mam prapajante tam sathaiva bhajamyaham. The second aspect of that is whatever people seek, that I shall grant. That's not the major point, but it is also there in the Shankara's commentary. Whatever people seek, people generally seek three kinds of things. People seek relief from suffering, artha. 7th chapter, we'll study that one later. People worship God to become free from suffering. They have some kind of problem, and they go to God to praying to God to become free from that problem. Please take away this problem. That is one thing people seek, freedom from suffering. One thing. Second thing people seek are things that they don't have but they want to have, hoping it will bring happiness. Something is missing in my life, and I pray to God to give me that thing, missing thing, with the hope that if that is supplied, my life will be happier, fuller, better. It may be anything. It may be a child, it may be a job, it may be a promotion, it may be a house, whatever a person is wanting to have, does not have, hoping that if God gives that one, I'll be happier. So that is artharthi. Artha, artharthi. The third reason why people pray to God is seeking knowledge, jignasu. They seek knowledge of God. Oh Lord, reveal your true nature to me. Sri Ramakrishna prayed only for knowledge of God, devotion to God. Knowledge or devotion. Third thing is people pray for knowledge or devotion. Sri Ramakrishna prayed only for devotion. He said, I don't want any lokamanno, mungami tamar sharanagata. I've taken refuge at your holy feet. Tamara padapade sharanilam. I've taken refuge at your holy feet. Lokasukha chainama. I don't want lokamanna China. I don't want worldly fame. Dev sukha chainama. I don't want the bodily comfort. All these things I don't want. What do I want? Only one thing from you. Tamarshi padapade ama shuddha bhakti dao. Please grant me pure devotion to your lotus feet. That is third reason, third thing which people pray. So Sri Krishna says in 4:11, whatever people seek, that I shall grant. Only highest thing we should seek is knowledge or devotion. Other worldly things we should not seek. Devotee should not seek. With whatever comes, without being sought, unsolicited, with that one should be happy and content. That we'll study later in the 12th chapter. So that is verse number 11. Then, a little bit faster. The caste problem question came. Very tricky. We spent a lot of time on that one. 4 classes of people are can be noticed in any society. Not only in Indian society, any society, there are different classes of people, depending upon their activity and temperament. Everybody is not suited for every kind of work. They have their natural tendencies and abilities. So according to that, they will work. But every work is necessary. Every person is essential for the well-being of the whole society. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because it's a very long topic, lot of questions. So I will refer you to one article, short article, that answers all the questions about caste system. That is in Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga book. That Karma Yoga book has 8 chapters in it. And then the chapter called Each is Great in His Own Place. That's the name of the chapter. Each is great in his own place. That means every person in any society, regardless of what kind of work he does, or regardless of circumstances of birth, is an essential part of that society. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle. Every puzzle, every piece has a place in it. Some pieces may be awkward, but they will fit only in that one place. They have a place in that big puzzle. So uh, in that chapter, Swami explains two things. Everybody's service is essential, no matter what kind of service it is. Second, more important thing that we have to note in this context is, regardless of circumstances of birth, regardless of ability or nature of work, a person can reach the highest goal. Even the lowest caste person, Shudra, Vaishya, Brahmana, Kshatriya, women, all can reach the highest goal by doing their own work as worship. There's no need to change. Nothing is superior, nothing is inferior. This Swamiji explains in that chapter with the story from Mahabharata, Dharmavyada story. There was a lady, a housewife, a mother, cooking, cleaning, serving family members. She got knowledge of the self. She didn't go to forest and meditate and study Vedanta. She did not study Upanishads. She got self-knowledge by doing her own work as worship with devotion. In that same town, there was another butcher who was selling meat. He did not know Sanskrit or Vedanta. He was only selling meat for a livelihood, taking care of his parents, serving his family. He got self-knowledge by doing his own work as worship. So anybody can reach the highest goal, does not have to do something else different from what one is doing, and reach the goal. This is all explained in just one line in the Gita. I mentioned it many times. Just one line in the Gita says, whoever you are, whatever you are, educated, uneducated, male or female, or high or low, Kshatriya, Shudra, whatever you are, whoever you are, what you are doing, you can reach the highest goal by doing your own work as worship. Don't have to change anything. You know where the shloka is? 1846. Many of you may remember, I have mentioned it so many times. Chapter 18, verse 46 answers all questions about caste system. Nothing. Just do whatever you are doing, have been doing as worship, with detachment, with love, as offering, as service. You will reach the goal. No need to change anything. So we will stop that topic here. Sri Ramakrishna said, for devotees, there is no caste system. All devotees belong to one caste. So Swami Sri Sarada Devi, Holy Mother, the question came up in her family. Some of her relatives were objecting that in some temples they cannot eat because the food temple was started by non-Brahmins and cooks or someone. She said, no such thing. Everybody belongs to the same caste. In Ramakrishna organization that Sri Ramakrishna started, there is no caste system at all. No caste system at all in a Ramakrishna order. She clarified it. So we'll stop that topic there. Then have to finish. Then the different attitudes towards work. Chapter 4, we are still continuing the summary. In chapter 4, Sri Krishna says in verse 18, a jnani sees inaction in action. Karmani akarmaya pashyat. So how to understand that one? It will come in the 5th chapter, clarification will come, so I will not spend much time on it now. Different attitudes with which one can perform one's work and practice detachment. The highest attitude is I am not the doer. That is the highest attitude. I there means not the body mind, the Atman. How many of us have that knowledge that I am the Atman? We know it theoretically, but experience. So we cannot do that. I cannot say I'm not speaking now because I know I'm speaking now because I'm body consciousness. So that is the highest. That will come in the fifth chapter, which we are going to study in next. The worst attitude to work is I'm the doer. Always saying I'm the doer, I've done this, I'm that, I'm doing this, I've done that, I'm going to do this. I, all the time. Worst attitude. Where does that come? 327. Chapter 3, verse 27. Ahankara vimodhatma karta ahamiti manyate. A foolish egotistic person always says, I'm the doer, I'm the doer, I'm the doer. I always. I'm the greatest person. I know more about anything more than anybody else in this world. That person is, we don't want to be that person. So in between, there are positions which people like us can take. Very briefly, working, doing all work as servant. I'm a dasa. The Lord is my Prabhu. God is my Lord. And I am his servant. Whatever work I'm doing, I'm doing it as a servant, as Hanuman does for Sri Rama. Serve Sri Rama. I'm doing that. A very good attitude. Pure. No mistake can happen there. Everything I'm doing is service of the Lord. Supposing you go to the kitchen and you see something trash lying down there on the floor. So you pick it up and put it in the trash bag, right? No big deal. But what's your attitude? This kitchen, this house is where the Lord lives. He lives here. This is his abode. I'm keeping this kitchen clean for him. I'm a servant. With that servant attitude, you do that work, mind becomes pure, mind becomes peaceful, spiritual progress is guaranteed. That is one bhava. Second thing is doing everything as offering. Sri Krishna says this at least 3-4 times in the Gita. Chapter 3, verse number 30 has all these things. 330. There Sri Krishna says, Maya sarvani karmani sanyasya. 330. Dedicating all actions to me. I'm doing everything for God. Not for myself, but for the Lord, for my Prabhu. Second attitude. Third thing is doing everything as worship. Not very different that we saw. Everything I do is worship of God. The only thing I should not do is nishidha karma, prohibited action, telling lesson, cheating, and then I should not tell lessons. I'm doing it for that. That won't work. That has to be given up first thing. All other work has to be done as worship. 1846. Remember that one sloka, 1846. By doing all work as worship, one reaches the highest goal. Sakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim mindati manavaha. Human being achieves perfection means liberation. Perfection is liberation. By how? Sakarmana tamabhyarcha, worshipping God by my own duty. I don't have to change my duty. If I'm a janitor, I do my janitor. Rasika, janitor, I gave the example. Which got realization. Sri Ramakrishna came at the time of death and took him away, guided him forward. What more can be expected for a janitor? No education, no Vedanta, nothing is necessary. Do what you're doing as offering as worship, with love, with gratitude, with joy, and be free. Freedom. And one more instruction, which will come in the 11th chapter, is to do everything as instrument in the hands of God. I'm an instrument, the Lord is the doer. That's a little bit difficult because I'm the doer is still strong in our minds. But it will come later on. The Lord is the doer. I'm only chosen instrument. He has chosen me to do this work, so I shall try to be the best instrument that I can be. He can choose any other instrument. He could have chosen 1,000 other people to do this work, all much better than I can do. They can do. But he has chosen me. Itself is a great gift. It's a grace. That God's grace comes in the form of work. Work comes because of God's grace. He has given me this work. That means He has bestowed His grace upon me, chosen me as the instrument. So let me be the best instrument. Let me do it in the best way I can, without cutting corners, preparing it very well, doing the work in the best way I can. Let me do it, because He has chosen me as His instrument. He could have chosen anybody else. That attitude is very nice. So all these things came. Now it's almost time. Then some verses there doing performing all actions as yajna, including eating, especially 424, Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, all actions including breathing, eating, walking, talking, seeing, hearing, all are yajna that we saw. Several slokas were there in chapter 4. And then 34th verse in chapter 4 described the importance of a teacher in spiritual life. 434. Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. For spiritual progress, we need a teacher. Almost all of us. There are only some people who can do without teachers. The only person I know is Bhagavan Rabana Maharshi. He didn't have any teacher. Holy Mother had Sri Ramakrishna as their teacher. Sri Ramakrishna had Tutapuri and Vairavi Brahmani and other people as teachers. So we need a teacher. When we need a teacher, we have to do three things. Pranipata, Pariprashna, Seva. Those things we discussed in detail. Pranipata means Sashtanga Namaskar, full prostration, indicating humility and readiness to learn. Humility and surrender. You should not go to a teacher with the ego. Oh, let me see how much he knows. No, not like that. God himself has come in the form of this teacher to teach me. So let me serve him and do listen to him carefully, follow his instruction. Pranipata, Pariprashna means inquiring thoroughly into every aspect of a subject. And third thing is seva. We told the story of Totakacharya. By doing seva, service alone, same thing Swami Adbhutananda, Dr. Maharaj. By doing service, they got knowledge by the grace of Guru. Adbhutananda Swami didn't study Vedanta, he was illiterate. She taught him Bengali alphabet, but after 3 or 4 days, it was given up as a hopeless task. He could not pronounce the words, letters properly. But it was not necessary. He said it's not for you. Your path is different. So by simply serving the teacher, following his instruction carefully, assiduously, with devotion, one can make spiritual progress and reach the goal. So these important topics in the 4th chapter you saw. Now, next time, we begin chapter 5. Chapter 5 begins with an interesting question. Which path is better, Karma Yoga or Karma Sannyasa? So very interesting topic, and we'll study that one next time. If you have any questions, you have 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes, you can ask now.
Maharaj, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah. The last one, for 4th chapter, the last one you said, 42. And then how do we compare that with the 66th chapter, slok of verse 18? Like
1866.
Like Sarvodharmam Parityajya, that, and then this one, Tasma Doganong, the 42 slok of the 4th chapter. So here,
that is what. What's the other sloka we used to compare?
With the Sarvodharmam Parityajya, that verse 66 of chapter 18.
Yeah, that is the ultimate charama, the ultimate teaching. After going through all these things,
okay,
this is not in place of, but after going through in sequence.
Okay.
You have to follow this. After doing all your service and activities and everything, then throw up your hands, total surrender. This is what Sri Ramakrishna says, giving power of attorney. That does not mean you should not do your duty. Power of attorney does not mean you should remain, you can remain quiet and everything will happen by itself. God will feed you every day. You have to get up and go to work. So this has to be done. And then that is surrendered of the fruits of action to God and accepting whatever happens as the will of God.
Oh, okay.
Surrender to the will of God, 1866.
Okay. So these are like path, and then that is the final goal?
That's the final. It's called Charama Gita.
Okay.
But you have to go through this. You have to, unless you practice this, you can't be.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
For us, this is the key.
Okay.
We are not there at that stage yet,
Mhm.
where I can say everything happens to God, I will not do anything. We consider like that. Not
Oh,
people can.
okay.
Ramana Maharshi could do like that one. It's
Okay.
at Kevan, didn't worry about food.
Mhm.
Months and years passed. Can you
Mhm.
do like that? No, we have to take action.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you,
This
Maharaj.
is instructional. So the 42nd verse, Yogamatishta Uttishta Bharat. That's the instruction for us at the present stage. And we have to get up every morning, do the japa, do the worship, do the household duties, take care of family responsibilities, go to work, all those things we have to do.
Mhm.
All as service is offering with love, with gratitude.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I wanted to start chapter 5, but not enough time now. We'll start next time.
We can,
Shall I say the closing prayer?
yes, Swami, we can say a prayer.
Okay. Closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavanta Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May all realize and practice what is good, noble, and auspicious. May no one be subject to misery. Om, peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. Adi Bhautika Shanti. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Devika Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishnaarpanamastu. All of you stay well and try to continue your study next time with the grace of God and stay in touch. If you have questions, send me email or call me. If you send me email, I can think in detail and answer in detail.
Thank you so much.